Good morning, YCS Indianapolis Day 1 recap. We are catching up on what happened yesterday with the coffee because it's probably going to be more varied than what we're going to see today in Day 2. We're going to cover almost all the Swiss rounds and just talk about the notable decks, strategies, things that we saw on stream, and what to look forward to for today, where we're going to see a top cut and we're going to see a winner. So, I think that just like as an overview, pretty varied. Konami tries to keep it fresh and like different in Day 1, usually not like putting all the meta decks on stream, even though I'm not sure they succeeded because I think like every single meta deck was on stream and a lot. Something that we saw a lot was actually branded. This was round 1, Raymond Dye, super well-known player. Kind of obliterating Samuel here. Unfortunate stream jitters. Cards like D-Barrier are still seeing a lot of play, mainly because of Tenpai, but also like branded Chimera as well. But we see the cross out here as well. So we didn't get to see a lot of Labyrinth. I'm wondering like if Raymond will go the distance. I'm not sure. Like I haven't been following on Twitter specifically for him, but it's going to be interesting to see how that develops. We actually got to see another feature match station, which is incredible. Like, shout out to Konami. This is round 1, but filmed on a secondary stage, as you can see. And it's also Ed Ascension, really well-known player, usually like a pretty well-known cooker around LA. And he has cooked the Runic Lightsworn. Not sure how that went for him in Swiss, but definitely a strategy worth looking out for. I think all the Runic, Bestial, Lightsworn, Chaos piles are definitely a thing. It's definitely like a rogue option, but those are just like really fun decks. We also see some old Archfiends here, which is an extremely good card against almost any deck, to be honest, that spams like 2 or more monsters trying to like link up, synchro up, stuff like that. It just kills it on the spot, which is really cool. So Ed Ascension here, shout out to him. We also saw Din, of course, Din Kekfam, playing Purrely. None other than Purrely, shout out to him. And we also saw his opponent playing Shark Armored Exes, which is a cool deck that spams out a lot of like Exes monsters, double Toad setups. But Din Kekfam was definitely prepared for that with Dark Ruler and just shutting down the opponent's board. Unfortunately, Javan, his opponent, was giving 2 warnings for illegal summons of Zeus, since Ice Barrier, the card you just saw handed, locks you into special summoning water monsters for the rest of the turn. You cannot summon Zeus. So he got a double warning for that. I think that was the match, actually. He won 2-0 eventually. On the other hand, Purrely, in the hands of a very competent player like Din here, is a scary deck still. It's funny because Javan can actually search for Gamma Seal, the Kaiju, with Ice Barrier, just because it searches any Aqua monster or any like level 5 or higher water monster from the deck. And it was pretty well answered, but, you know, some players are just like too well versed with their deck. Like Purrely now has Too Delicious, Too Sleepy. That's a lot of names and no other limitations. Room for non-engine. We saw him playing the Blackout Laughs for discard fodder, which is also a very good card. And we also managed to see some more toxic decks. I am going to put Centurion into the toxic strategy. Oh, the Ash on the card of Demise. We got Johnny versus Michael here. And just set for trying to activate Demise, get ashed. And on the other hand, Centurion, which has been used as an engine in other decks as well. Mainly to just like add a Calamity Lock on top of your board. Right? So, you know, it's cool. I think just like ban Hot Red Archfiend Calamity. Keep everything. I think the engine is super creative. The gameplay and the style is super cool. Centurion. Just ban Calamity. Same thing as I say for Branded, just ban Albion. Let the deck be cool and fun. without all the toxicity, I think that's great. Like we want, like it's a very well designed deck. Just put a Blazer Dragon. It's fine. Every deck, like there's no Oni negates anymore. So we see Shadow's Light here, which is a very cool tech in Centurion. If you don't know, the new level 12 Synchro, the Oxala, is a Dark Dragon. I think you can tribute that for Shadow's Light to get a Crimson Dragon onto the board. Something like that. It gets you to Crimson Dragon. Let's see some of the face downs here. So Skill Drain is super big right now. I think Konami has managed to deal with a lot of the floodgates, but Skill Drain is still a 3. So I wonder if they're going to keep it. I think Skill Drain is like fine, just like not really clear on the strategy of Konami, just like moving forward with is Rivalry, Anti-Spell, Summon Limit. Those are not okay to be a 3. But these cards, Synchro Zone and Skill Drain, are. Synchro Zone seeing play in like one deck, but Skill Drain is like people are playing this in Snake Eye and Branded. I mean, yeah. So kind of toxic, but what can you do? We saw a very poor showing of the design space of Tenpai Dragon here. A very, very quick, probably like a 15, 12-minute match. 2-0 from Tenpai Dragon. Just like spewing hand traps, activate field spell, and your opponent literally cannot do anything. I think that Tenpai Dragon, and this is something that I'm going to say about all the newly designed decks, there's just something with how Konami designs the top tier decks right now, where it's a 10 to 15 card engine with a 1-card combo, multiple 1-card combos, multiple extenders, multiple insulators, that generates an infinite amount of advantage while also letting you play 20-25 non-engine in your deck, which means that every hand is going to be a starter that pluses you 1,000 and 4 hand traps. This is not like interactive Yu-Gi-Oh! This is not good design for decks. I think the fact that decks like Branded, Manadium are just like full of engine. Bell is a little bit like that as well at the moment. Just strong engine that lets you play creatively against different types of game styles and boards. This is what the game needs. And I think that it's going to probably get a little bit worse when we get Fiendsmith, because just like as an engine, maybe it's going to replace hand traps, which I think is better. Like hand traps are okay, but this deck, like cards like Magnemite that should be banned anyway, but just like your opponent cannot do anything, and like why even print cards like this? This is super depressing to watch, that match specifically. We got a good Branded player on feature. That's very, very rare from my experience, extremely rare. We are seeing some of the goo here. So we are seeing Book of Eclipse forcing an Ash Blossom, which is extremely, extremely interesting in my opinion. Ash Mourner on the kit. We're seeing High Spirits, seeing a lot of play in this deck, and the card is very good and versatile. If you haven't seen my last video with all the secret interactions, you better check that out. And I think that Book of Eclipse is a solid card. I'm not sure if it's necessary for the format. I'm not sure if this was even the main deck card because this is game 3. But getting ashed, forcing out an Ash Blossom on the Eclipse was huge here. Bruce made a read that like Murat doesn't have access to Brand Infusion, because what happened was that he summoned a Luber and searched for High Spirits, and then searched for Kit that can now special summon itself to search for Brand Infusion. So he took the gamble here, but unfortunately for Bruce, the Albion, the second Albion in the hand, dumping a Fallen of Albaz, which is always good when you're in pinch, just like make sure you have something in the grave in case you top deck, something playable. And that's exactly what happened, because this allowed Murat to draw the one of Fusion Deployment. Not the one of, but just the Fusion Deployment. Draw it and actually start playing after 2 hand traps. Very good top deck. He said in the winter interview that If he doesn't draw that, he probably loses, and I agree. He didn't have any other plays, so congrats to him. Santoli, our favorite boy. I love watching Steven Santoli because it always feels like a mad genius crafting and cooking, and he decided to bring in Vanquisher. Not a bad deck by any means, falling off and on from time to time. Interesting strategy, very fun deck, I think, to pilot. Also relies on things like the card that is in Santoli's graveyard. Dimension Shifter, kind of agnostic to the graveyard. Also things like There Can Be Only One, which are at 1, which is great. It's very good. But cards like Dust Devil, Snow Devil, Caesar, Fenrir, just like very, very solid cards. Well-rounded. Obviously, Santoli is versed with this deck, so it was a pleasure to see. Lastly, Ubel and Melodious. What I'm going to say about this deck, and I'm going to put specifically Melodious on blast here, is the fact that, again, this is another one-card combo creation from Konami that generates an infinite amount of advantage. And on the other hand, being like a super glass cannon going second into a board. Like these decks, Ubel is the same. Snake Eyes is not really the same. Tenpai is sort of the same. Just like glass cannon is going into a board, like you cannot break a board with Melodious. You cannot. And the one-card combo is so like oppositely strong. So I think just like a lack of balance in the design space. And then we see the last match of the day. Pack, Despia branded, looking shiny, my boy. Very cool to see. Piloting the deck really well. He's been grinding the deck a lot recently. And we also see Albalanidus on the board. I think Pack should win this one. This was a puppet war. I'm just going to say it like that. I think that Albion, like next ban list, please just ban Albion. I would also consider Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. Because just because of the design of Albion is good, people are just going to say like, nah, it's, you can just summon other things. I would be remiss seeing Albion go. I don't want to see Albion go, but I understand. And also like as a brand player, I feel like this deck is like branded in this way at the moment, which I don't like. I think the deck has so much to offer. You don't need to play Gimmick Puppet Nightmare to win. Talking about that, in the rest of the week, the videos, you're going to see our breakdowns from my games and YCS matches. I'm going to be breaking down the gameplay and understanding, explaining how actually everything works and how people actually win and break boards. I'm going to upload a video of my own, playing a list without puppets, so stick around for that. It's going to be really fun and interesting. And thank you so much for watching. Good luck to all the duelists in day 2. And I'll see you later. Peace out.